Welcome back to Quirky Builds. This is my latest quirky build. What is it, you ask? Is it a random pile of wood that seems very secure and glued together? Maybe. Is it a giant Jenga game? Absolutely not. It's spinning on a Lazy Susan. It's not meant to spin around. But here's what it is. It is a secret set of drawers. Perfect place to keep my drugs and illegal firearms. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do drugs, kids. But yeah, it was, like most of my projects, a lot of fun to build. My motivation for this one was this photo here that I saw on Instagram. As soon as I saw it, I thought, oh man, that would be cool if it was enclosed and it had drawers and you couldn't see the drawers. So that's exactly what I did. The basic construction of this my secret drawer project is pretty simple. It's a basic plywood box with regular drawer glides, and the doors are made up of just 1x6s with a 1/2-inch plywood bottom. And then the box and drawers are basically covered up with, a whole lots of pieces. I figured that there's about 200 pieces altogether in this. And the sides are made up of these little guys right here, and the tops are solid pieces, and those I just cut with the miter saw, standard stuff. But these end pieces on the drawers and the end pieces on the back, those I cut with the bandsaw. One of the trickiest parts of this project was to figure out how those front doors are going to shut because the drawers, those 2x4s on the drawer, they stick past, so they needed to slide into those slots without binding, and the key was these strips. I put strips between every row, and it left enough space so those fronts could go in and without binding. And the back, this is the back, they get glued and screwed. And on the front though, the front kind of got done last because I had to make the drawers first, but they needed to get put in first, so I could just temporarily put in, so I could kind of go from there and figure out how big the back piece is going to be notched out. So I just clamped those in place and then kind of worked my way back. The side little chunks, they get glued. Again, I put a strip down to make a little gap so the fronts can slide into place without binding. And the fronts get glued to the back. There was a lot of glue in this project, probably about a bottle and a half. And I secured them with 18 gauge brads. And if you notice a little writing on the side back there, that was another tricky part. Everything had to go up at the proper height, because the drawers, I was using drawers, 1x6s, and I didn't want to have to be messing around with making custom sizes. I wanted everything to be right. So this is actually kind of really what the drawer pull is. Wherever the drawer pull is, I left on each drawer, the top one is sticking out farther than the rest. And I notched the bottom of those so when you grab it underneath, you can feel that, and it's just easier to grab and pull. So it's basically a drawer pull, this is. And I used a little, I think it's called a box core router bit, just to get a little finger grip in there. And so these are the fronts. So the fronts get glued to the drawer fronts. The 2x4s on the front get glued to the drawer fronts. And at this point, I am putting them down permanently. So I glue them down or put the strips in there, and then I mark those because I don't want, on the inside, the glue doesn't go all the way out. And on the bottom part, this is the only place I use polyurethane. Because that part got cut out with a bandsaw, that's kind of a rough cut, and I wasn't sure that regular wood glue is going to work. And polyurethane is pretty good at expanding the gap. I'm not a huge fan of working with polyurethane, but that's what it's good for. And I use these little spacers on the side, so so I got an even space, and I marked them with a marker so I could keep reusing them. And then those 2x4s basically just get screwed on through the back, and that's kind of how it all works together. And I just kind of worked my way up. For the finish, I just used a mixture, half and half mixture of mineral spirits and linseed oil, mainly because I really don't care that it's protected all that much, and the linseed oil will protect it. But what I didn't want is to be shiny, so it looks like a piece of furniture. I really kind of want it at first glance to look like a pile of wood. And it does kind of look like a pile of wood. It took up a full 4 8-foot 2x4s with very little scrap, surprisingly. So for the 2x4s and the plywood and the 1x drawers, sides and front, I have about $80 into it. I already had the drawer glides. That was another motivation of mine. And those are probably another $50 if you had to go buy them, 40 or $50. Yeah, that's it. This is my secret set of drawers. Stay tuned for more quirky builds.